Okay, we only got about an hour, but we're gonna open this thing up and measure some radon. That is the plan for today. Let me get the Amazon stream going and we will kick things off and begin exploring the wide world of radon detection. Who would have thought? But it's actually pretty important to detect your radon. And the reason that you want to look for radon in your home is that it's essentially a radioactive gas that comes off of like uranium and other decaying substances in the ground. And where I live, we actually have a lot of radon. And so when my house got built, I had to put in a radon system to get rid of the radon. So yeah, you got to do that. So the other day, my town, and I'll explain this when I do the full review also, my town, through the state of Connecticut, gave out these home radon kits, and I ran the test, and my radon level was double what it was from when I put the system in. So I thought there was maybe something wrong with the radon system, but in fact, they said, you know, it can vary day to day. So the radon guy said, get the Airthings wave here and let it run, and it'll actually keep track of radon levels depending on the weather, because he said days like what I'm having today where it's kind of raining and cloudy, those actually can result in slightly higher radon levels versus a sunnier day. And of course, there's seasonal variation to it as well. So you can install this and get more than a snapshot of what your radon levels are looking like. So I thought this was kind of interesting to check out, and it's on sale today. So look at that. It went on sale after I bought it, I should have you know. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to start opening this thing up, and we'll see what is inside, because I don't have a lot of time. But this will also, by the way, do humidity. I think it does particulates in the air, carbon dioxide, and air pressure. So it's got a little barometer in it. So it's similar to the Amazon one that we looked at recently, but it has the capacity for radon detection, which is why I got it there. Got some folks joining us here. Alien is here, clearly a reptilian, and Romeric is here. Good to see you both. Not getting a huge crowd this morning, or this afternoon, but, you know, we roll with the punches as we go. So let's take a look at what this thing is all about. So we've got our manual here, and we need to follow the instructions. Looks like it runs on batteries, which is good. I'm not sure what kind of batteries it runs on. And then I guess you can have it trigger through your AWord or IFTTT or Google. You can have it trigger stuff. So if the humidity level gets too high, you can turn the humidifier on. So that's kind of neat. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so they're doing like a radon map also. That's pretty cool. So this is the unit. And I guess what I'm supposed to do is, okay, there you go. So open it up and pull the battery tab. Designed in Norway, assembled in Tunisia. All right, so we plug those in. These look like just standard AA batteries. So I could probably put my rechargeables in here, I guess. I don't know. That we will find out. And it looks like there's a base here that you can screw into something. And this is the detector itself. And whoops, I'm just going to let it run. And okay, it goes in like that. So it snaps in like you saw there. It looks like it's magnetic, so you could put this behind a curtain or something. So we'll see how that all comes together. And it looks like there's a mounting screw. Oh, I see. So we could mount this with a mounting screw, or we could just figure out a way to get it up. And of course, it is blinking at the moment. And the reason it's blinking is that I have to download, of course, the app, which we're going to do now. So let's grab that app. And this is the Airthings app, I'm assuming. So Airthings Wave. So I'll get that. I'm assuming that's the app I need. Yeah, Airthings Wave. So we'll grab that. And I got to probably set up my account and everything. Hang on a second here, everybody. Let's go back to the App Store. Yeah, so we're taking a look, by the way, at this thing, which is the Airthings Wave. And Nick Versopa is here as well. Good to see you. We are trying to figure out what my radon levels are in the house here, which is what we're working on this morning. Because I had a kind of a borderline radon test done the other day. But the radon guy was telling me, you know, it's kind of hard to rectify. I got a 3 was what my score was. And the radon guy told me it was kind of hard to rectify that without like really going nuts. So he said, install this thing and see what it looks like over a couple different days of, you know, sun, rain, no rain, and see what the fluctuations are. Because typically those lab tests are very accurate. But he said that they're just a snapshot in time. All right, so it looks like I have to install the Airthings Wave app. It's got very poor reviews, the app at least, on the App Store, and I'm not sure what the reasons. Yeah, so it looks like there's a lot of questioning as to whether or not this is an accurate test. So we'll see. I mean, I know what my results are from a lab test that I did. So we will see what it comes up with. Yeah, the radon guy that I had come here was pretty adamant, or not adamant, but pretty supportive of this thing. So he said that this is probably something that would work. I am on Tech is here. Hello there. All right, so I'm going to get this app opened up. And we'll just kind of run through the process here. And I'm assuming, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb here. I am assuming that it's going to find this thing automatically. So let's take a look here. So we're going to say next here, all the things that it can do. Radon is leading cause of lung cancer. Yeah, that's right. And it finds the volatile organic compounds. So in many ways, this is kind of what it was before. And then if you wave in front of the device, it'll give you an indicator as to what it's seeing. So I have a green right now, so I'm guessing my air quality is okay. So that's something to note for later. And we have to wait at least a week for the sensors to fully adjust to their environments. Geez, okay. All right, so let's get started. So I have to create an account. And I hate it when they don't take in some other thing that I can use, right? And it also doesn't seem to support the Apple password generator. So I'm going to generate a password in my LastPass here. I'll let you take a look at what we're playing with here. So again, Radon Detector. That is what we're looking at this morning. So let's go to generate password. Settings. Because I was a little concerned with my last radon test, so that's why we're doing this today. So where did my tools go? Yep, so give me a second here, folks. We're going to get this set up. I said to generate a password for, and LastPass keeps moving everything. So I used to know where this generator thing was for my passwords, but it's not, doesn't seem to be in here now. Advanced, so now they call it advanced. It's not in there. Ah, here we go. Generate a strong password. I'm going to use that one. And we're going to apply this to airthings.com. Okay. All right, so we'll do this and do that. Sign up. And who knows what I've just agreed to. And then it's going to send me an email. We got to do the email verification. And then we will have ourselves a working Airthings thing. Okay, so we'll do that. Paste this in here. Okay. All right, so it's going to do Bluetooth. We're going to add a device. I guess you can have multiple devices in the home. So we're going to connect to the Wave Plus. And we're going to put this in the basement at my home. And then I've got to choose my location. So I think I'll share that. All right. And now it's going to update, give a firmware update, of course, because of course it needs a firmware update. Sean Wilson is here. Hello there. I Am On Tech was wondering, does the Amazon Quad... No, so that one does not do Radon. So I haven't really been using it because, you know, I tested a few rooms around the house and there was nothing wrong anywhere, right? So I just kind of figured, it's probably not worth keeping it hooked up. I'm probably going to sell that one. This one I'm going to use for a little while because I'm curious about the radon level. So that's what we're going to play around with. And Elaine N is here and Travis Rhodes is here. I think YouTube was slow with the notifications today. Alien, thank you very much for the super chat. I missed your super sticker earlier, but thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. And hopefully we won't have any radon in this house, but maybe if we do, you can help me get rid of it. So we're just going to let this update. And they're building like this radon map around the country of where all the radon is located. Now what they don't give you advice on is how to best set it up. So I think you have to go to their website to get the scoop on how to best configure it. But you got to let it run for a week before it's like fully calibrated, which is, I guess I understand why, but still, it's kind of like people want immediate results here, right? Let me go see if I can find the manuals while we're waiting here. And you are welcome. I am on tech. I am here to serve. If you've got questions, I may or may not have the answer. We'll see. All right, so now it's rebooting. And I'm guessing we have to kind of have it sit upright. And what's neat is they've got this magnetic thing to it, so you could presumably stick it behind a ceiling tile or something and have it stick to that. So we will wait for this to finish updating. Michael Russo is here. Hello there. Yeah, we're just doing a quick one today because I've got to go teach in a little while. But I thought I would get this thing set up because I'd like to start reviewing it, although I think I may have to wait a week, which is a bummer because this was next on my list of things to do. So the reason why you have to wait a week, they say, is you've got to calibrate it. So that is why they have you do that. So we'll let this kind of run itself out here. Almost done. It is rebooting. And then when it's done rebooting, All right, we're getting there. And hopefully this will be back up and running soon. Sean Wilson's got to run. Good to see you. Arvind, hello there. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, we were just waiting for this thing to get set up. Okay, let's get you started with your Wave Plus. All right, let's get started. Tell me how bad my air is. They recommend that you place your Wave Plus in an area where you spend a majority of your time. You can either mount it to the wall or lay it flat. Okay, good. I'm going to lay it flat. So I'm going to put it like next to my TV where I had the other radon detector, I think, when we get through all this. The temperature, humidity, and air sensors are all ready to go. However, the VOC and CO2... Oh, okay, so what about the radon sensor? It doesn't tell me what that needs. I'm guessing... Okay, radon will fluctuate throughout the month, and they recommend that you measure for at least 30 days. But the good news is that I can get started with my review tomorrow, because the first radon sample will be ready in the app 1 hour after your initial setup. Okay. And we can chat with their support team here. Okay, so we're done with that. And now it's going to sync up. So we may not get a reading on this until... All right, we'll do that later. I don't want to set up push notifications now. Okay, so the radon right now is going to be low because it's just getting started. So you saw that the average over the last, let's see, 48 hours is 0 because we haven't actually had a reading yet. But if I look at the real time, we do have some sense of this here. So it's reading 0.3, less than 0.3, which is probably not accurate given what my test had before. And radon is kind of additive because it has to accumulate. So if you had, for example, like a Geiger counter, which I do have one upstairs, the Geiger counter will not detect radon in the air because it's not easily detectable. So it has to kind of accumulate. So I could see why this would be the case here. And the volatile organic compounds, it needs at least a week to get that kind of set up. But it looks like we're good to go here. So you know what I might do while this is going is let me go over to the A-Word app, short for the app that might set off your alarms and everything. And we're going to go and look at what we can do with this thing. Because right now we're not going to be able to do much until it's been sitting in here for a while. Although it looks like it's a synchronization process and not... Yeah, let's go through some of these settings. So this is a synchronization process and not like a real time. So if I hit sync now, look at that. Okay, so it's Bluetooth. So it just downloaded an update. And the radon, I think, is the same as it was a minute ago. Yeah, this is going to take a little while for it to get all set up because nothing really has changed. And apparently they call it the wave because you can wave over it to see what your readings are. All right, so that is set up. So why don't we go through some notifications. So I can get a notification on all of these things, and I'm guessing this will be through the app. So let's view the thresholds. So this is kind of following the US government recommendations. I've learned all this over the course of my adventure with this radon situation in my home. I don't have a bad situation. I have a mitigation device. But from what it looks like here is that in my case, I am, at least on my lab test, I was between 2.7 and 4.0. And so this would, I don't think would trigger a notification, but anything over 4 is something you need to get addressed. Now I think my house, when I bought it, was at 7 or 8. So that's why we put in the radon system. Actually, I had the people that sold me the house put it was during the inspection. It's kind of like a standard process to test the radon. I don't know if it's the law around here, but I know most people do that. And it's looking to see how it measures everything here. So there's some sync info. I guess is like what it last synced up with. Yeah, so it's not like going to give you real time. Remember with the Amazon thing, it was like pushing data in real time. This one is a little less real time than that. But this one does radon, which the other one doesn't do. So let me make a note of this. And then we'll take a look and see what kinds of things the A-Word app can do. I'm guessing it's basically the same triggers that we have here. Airthings Wave Plus. So needs 7 days to get started on VOCs and CO2. Radon was the primary reason I bought it. And I think what interests me on this is that it will kind of give you the variation as things are moving along. And I'm not going to have anything here yet until we've got it running for 48 hours. But let's take a look. Let's do another download here. And it lost connection already. Huh. Okay, sync now. So Bluetooth available. So it appears as though this does not connect to Wi-Fi, which I guess is good and bad. It looks like it's just Bluetooth. So this might be something. Yeah, interesting. So I'm guessing you're not going to get an update from it until your phone is in the proximity of it, which in the house is not that big of a deal, but I don't know how this would work remotely. And it looks like it's like trying to stay synced all the time. But the temperature looks about right. The humidity feels about right in here because that's about what we saw on the Amazon one. I would say the volatile organic compounds is not accurate at the moment, but that's because it's still in its calibration period. All right, so I think what I'm going to do now is pull up my Alexa app and see what it can do with that. So Frank Romer in the Amazon chat says, "Hey Lon, I had a radon remediation system installed in my house in December. He's been using different Airthings monitor for nearly a year. And it can be integrated into a home assistant." Yes, it can, both Google and Amazon, but not Apple. And Frank's was a 5.3. Yeah, so I was talking to the guy when he was here just checking my system out, because I had my system installed in 2007, and it hasn't been, like, I mean, it's been running constantly since that time. I can actually show it to you if you want. It's been running the whole time without, I mean, it's just been going. And it has like a little pressure indicator, which kind of gives you an idea as to its performance level, whether or not it's, you know, keeping pressure and everything. And he was telling me that he's had places where the number was 180. I mean, it's amazing. Like, people don't just drop dead just from walking in the building. But I mean, it's the silent killer, as they say, right? So 180, can you believe that? 180, that was the highest he ever saw. And you can't smell it, you can't taste it. If you have a Geiger counter, you can't even measure it. It's like you've got to run a radon test or something like this. So the radon tests from the labs are probably going to be more accurate, but as my guy was telling me, it's just kind of a snapshot in time. So this kind of gives you a little more than that. So let me go add this to my Amazon thing here. So we're going to go to devices, and we're going to add something here. So I'm going to say add device, and we're going to look up Airthings. No results. Of course not. Is it called Airthings or Airthing? Airthings, yeah. let's see, Air Things. It's not in there. It says it works with Amazon. Maybe you have to go by the brand name. Who's the brand name here? It's Airthings, right? Wave Plus. Let me try to type in Wave Plus and see if it shows up there. Nope. How about Wave? Negative. All right, so we've got to do a little investigation. Yeah, Frank, he said that was the worst he ever saw. Like around my area, I know of a few people that have had like, we have a lot of ledge here. So I know a few people that have had like, I don't know, like 25, 30, pretty high numbers. So we have a lot of ledge. Anytime you got rock and ledge deep down, you probably have some radioactive material. And that will off-gas this radon, and that's how you get this thing. All right, so I need to look for the Airthings Amazon skill. All right, so it is on their website, so I'm going to enable this. And then I will probably take out my Amazon Echo. All right, so now I'm linking it up. Okay, so I have to discover devices. So I have to plug, I think I have to plug in my my thing here. Maybe not, because it's already linked up with that thing there. So let's go grab my Echo. Hopefully it's still in the closet here. Where did it go? Oh, it's over there. I think it's over there. I'm not sure where it went. The problem with this house, or this area in which I work, here it is. I have all this stuff. So as you can see, all these things come out of the out of my secret closet here. So I keep a Amazon Echo Show on hand for these types of devices. And I've got my Amazon Fire TV in here. I've got video scalers. I've got, you name it, I've got it in this drawer or thing of stuff. I even have a display port to USB Type-C, which I was missing. So let me go put this back where it belongs here. And we will boot up the Echo Show, and we'll see if it can get a reading from it and see how that works. So let's go plug in our Echo Show. There we go. And I'm going to unplug this for a little while. I'll plug this in. Yeah, I usually do the Google stuff. So I'm going to try it with my Google upstairs later too. Get it all linked up there. It is good that you can have this thing sitting on its side, so you don't have to mount it if you don't want to, so you can move it around the house a little bit. I'm not sure what the battery life will end up being on it, but we'll have to see what results there. Okay, so let me go. I guess you have to do the skill. So it's not going to show up in the device list, which is kind of a bummer. We'll let this thing boot up, and then we'll take it from there. And I'll put the box here so we know what we're looking at. It's good to know, right? All right, and I'm going to put the mounting screw back in so I don't lose it wherever I put it. Oops. Where did it go? We'll come back to that. I am sure it fell off the desk somewhere. Okay. So we are booted up. Oops. Ah. Okay, let's turn the volume down a little bit. And I'm guessing I could say, computer, ask Airthings what my radon level is. Didn't like that. Computer, ask Airthings.
Sorry, something went wrong.
Okay, apparently. Computer.
Sorry, something went wrong.
It's a typical live stream. Nothing's working, right? That's how it usually goes. I think it's trying to connect to my network or maybe updating. We'll let that finish up. What I will do is, here it goes. Computer, ask Airthings my radon level.
Which room?
Basement.
Welcome to Airthings. I could not find any data for your connected devices. Please make sure your devices are synced. You can verify that data has been synced by visiting https://dashboard.airthings.com.
So what I'm not sure about is the data path that things take here, because it looks like this is Bluetooth. So let's investigate this a bit and see what we get. And I've got some questions rolling in, so we'll answer some of those. And Frank's is at 3.56, so good, you've got some progress there. Yeah, mine is at 3 as of the last test that I did, but I want to, the guy recommended that I put this thing in and measure it over time. Travis is wondering, yes, it is a problem everywhere. I believe it is worse where you've got more rocky ledges and stuff, but it all comes out of the ground. CF wants to know, when was the last time I fired up the old Macs behind you? So the Mac SE here needs to be recapped, so that one doesn't work at all. The 2GS I last booted up probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I have to replace the power supply on it because its filter cap blew on it. So we'll have to see what happens. Dave B says battery life should be about 6 to 8 months with the 2 AA's in there. Gavin Yisrael has one of these. And how's it working for you? Because I'm not sure. People are kind of questioning the accuracy of these. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And Ignatius has some thoughts on some of the things you should be worried about. And Dave B says air. It is in the air. So I think he's got the air version. I think there's like, this is like there's a wave and there's a wave plus, which is, this is the wave plus. All right, so I am on the dashboard and I am not getting anything. Now it says here that it hasn't synced up yet, but the app on the phone says that it has. So it says up to date here. If you look here, it says up to date, but if I look at the website, it says that it hasn't been synced yet. So who do you believe? But it will generate a Radon report, which is good. So I don't know what is not happening here. They do have an API. Just looking through all this here. Yeah, so it says it hasn't synced yet. I'm going to reset the app. It looks like it's not like communicating with the internet. And I don't know what this will sync to. I'm guessing it's going to be reliant on the phone. Because if I go over to the web dashboard, it's telling me that it hasn't synced yet at all, not yet synced. So I'm not sure if it lags behind somewhere. I don't know. So in other words, I'm not getting any useful data out of this yet. And I should be getting something, even if it's not totally correct, sent up. So I'm going to have to let this thing kind of sit and get acclimated, I'm guessing. Yeah, I always hate these things. I wish like there was some, I know everyone's trying to standardize around things, but I'm not ever sure about how these things get set up and work properly. Because it says it's synced. So I don't know what it takes to get this thing to sync with the internet, but let me kill it and see. Because I have all these apps for every one of these stupid things running on my phone. Okay, so now it's syncing again, up to date. Okay, so here we are again. And if you look at the web dashboard, I don't know why you would want that if I got nothing. And I get that there's, to some degree, like there is some calibration and there's some averaging it has to do, and of course with Radon being an additive kind of measurement that it takes a little while to get that going. But I think their users want some instant gratification to know that they set it up properly. And like I don't have confirmation of that. So when I'm on my web dashboard, as you saw, it says it's not yet synced. Although it is reporting that the sensors are calibrating. So maybe it doesn't start syncing until the week goes by. I don't know. But I would like to get some kind of data to know that it's working which you don't know until the 7th. Like, you might surpass your return window. Dave B, and I got a super chat too, we'll get to in a second. Dave B lives in a high radon area with active mitigation in his house. My levels still fluctuate quite a bit. And that's what the radon guy told me too. I'll show you my radon system in a minute. CF542 wants to know, is radon common in the middle? I think it is. It is, if you go on, the CDC has a whole big page on it. And I know, at least in my state, the state of Connecticut gets subsidized to give out free testing kits. So if you have a town or city or a county office, you might want to check with them and see if they have testing kits available, because I was able to test my house for free recently. And those are lab tests, so you kind of expose it for a couple days and let it run. Ignatius has been meaning to get one and integrate it with his Home Assistant. Yeah, they are pricey. This one is on sale. It's $179 today. I paid more last week, and I'm not getting any rebate there either. EPA has it. Yeah, if you go to EPA, and they'll give you some idea of that. And Frank Cromer says on the EPA website, they have a radon zone map that you can download. I should make a note of that. Might be good to, because that's a question people are asking. And I will maybe integrate that into our EPA. Let me take a look at that. See if I can put it up on screen for you. Here we go. Map of EPA radon zones. So I will put this up on screen so you can see the radon zones. And maybe by the time we get done here, it'll give us a reading. All right, so, and this is for the United States, and of course other countries will certainly not be immune from radon. Let's go to web browser, and I'll say http Lon.TV/radon zones. All right, so let's take a look at that. All right, so map of radon zones. And if we go over to the map here, we can even zoom in. Let's zoom in a little bit. So I am in Lower Connecticut. And so where I am in Southern Connecticut, I'm in a red zone. So it looks like anywhere in the red zones here are areas where you're prone to have more radon. But it doesn't hurt to, get one of those lab kits anywhere, because they say no matter where you live, you could have a pocket underneath your house. And so my radon level as of the other day was 3, but the guy told me that atmospheric pressure plays a role. So some days will be worse than others, and you can install a mitigation system. I think they do have to cut a hole in your basement floor in most cases, and they run like a tube underneath it. So that is something to keep in mind there. This is from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And there's no way to deal with this other than to basically create some pressure differential to pump it out of your house or blow it out, as is the case in my system. And I got a super chat from Keith Robinson. Thank you very much for your contribution. And Keith has, so Keith had a test that he put in the house for 4 months. Because my test, they only wanted it for 3 days, maximum 7. So it was a real snapshot. And that's why the radon guy said, yeah, get one of those Airthings and see what it says. I'm actually eager to see, because I think we're going to have kind of the same weather that I had when I had the other test in here. So we'll see what the difference is. But he checked my system, and it's been working fine. That thing's been pumping every day since 2007 when I bought the house. And Keith said that in Canada, they declared November Radon Action Month. He bought a legacy test that you have to leave in the house for, minimum of 3 months. Okay, so that was much longer than the one I had. And Greg M says, radon detection is only one part. There is still remediation. Exactly, yep. And I'll show you my system real quick here. I'll get my camera booted up here so you can take a look. And then really they say if you are above if you're above a level of 3 is when you should mitigate. That's when they say you should do something about it. And in my house, like I said, when I bought it, I was like 7, I think, 7 or 8. And the system that I installed, when we retested after the installation, it brought it down to 1.5, which is much more manageable. But like I said, there's houses near me that are in like the 30s, which is crazy when you think about it. All right, so I'm going to boot up my little NDI camera here. And I'm going to go out to my NDI. I'm going to go out to my basement, which is over there, and I'll show you what it looks like. Wait for my camera to pop up on my NDI list here. What if my phone is defaulting to the wrong Wi-Fi? Hang on a second, let me just double check that. Nope, it's on the right Wi-Fi. There it is. Okay. So we're going to go and hit that. And don't mind the mess, everybody, once this camera comes up. Let's see if I can get it going here. My camera, NDI camera, is being very problematic. Let me try this again. And I'll run out there and we'll give it a quick test. Maybe I'll recycle the app here. Usually this app works much better. Usually it just kind of works. Never not works, but today it's just deciding not to work. If not, I can hook up something else. Try it one more time here. NDI, desktop capture, NDI, HX camera. I think I might have to update my vMix because I think they updated the phone app to NDI 5, which might be why it isn't showing up here. So all I get is this right now, so we'll get to take a look at that. Brightburns wants to know, what is NDI exactly? What is radon exactly? NDI is what I'm trying to get working. Radon is an invisible gas. It is basically a gas that comes out of the ground. It is essentially decaying uranium and other radioactive substances that are underground. And as those things decay, they give off a radioactive gas. Now, normally outside, it dissipates in the air, but in a home where you have everything closed up tight, it will accumulate. And you don't want to be inhaling anything radioactive because it can increase your risk of lung cancer. And I forgot what the statistics are specifically, but you have a greater chance of developing lung cancer the higher your radon levels are. I believe next to smoking, it is the most common way that you can contract lung cancer. So that is why you want to mitigate that. Red Techie wants to know, do I have a hey, Red Techie is here. Do I have a walkout basement? So I do, actually, because I come down the stairs to come down here, but I've got 2 doors that open in and out. And you should test, because I think up in your neck of the woods, if you don't have a radon system already, I know that the radon levels throughout most of our little village here are very high. So I would look at getting a test. They actually have free ones down at the town hall right now. Red Techie lives in my town, so that's why I'm telling him to go down to the town hall. So you go to the public health office, give them a call, see if they have any left. But that was the one that I used. I don't believe there's any basement versus slab. It's all the same. So if you have a home that has 4 walls and a roof, and you're in that zone, you should probably test. And like I said, there's less expensive ways to do it than getting one of these things. Yeah, my NDI is not going to work here. You know what I'll do is I will take a picture, or I'll take a quick video of it so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to need to do that anyhow for my video. And let me just see where we're at on the sensor here, see if it's picking up anything. And Frank wants to integrate this into his home assistant, so you'd have kind of a running tally. Yes, you're not going to get a lot of immediate satisfaction with this, and I think it's kind of hard to measure radon in that way. I'm just frustrated that I don't have like a good indicator as to whether or not there's any data coming into this thing right now. And Steve V says that the radon decay has a half-life of about 4 days. And in the course of that 4 days, it sticks around in your house. Dave B is addicted to these things, measures CO2 and VOCs as well as radon. Yeah, I'm going to see what my stove, I was just reading something this morning about how gas stoves are like really bad. My gas stove is propane, which I guess is probably worse than natural gas. I don't know. Greg M says, I believe where I am in Winnipeg, we have some of the highest radon levels in Canada. Yeah, if you look here, you know, the northern United States, of course, which borders Canada, seems to be the worst. But it doesn't mean that, like, if you're in one of these yellow zones, that you won't have a problem where you are, because you know, your house could be in a spot that just is in a bad place. Even Guam, look at that, Guam, huge. So much so they put it on the map here to like warn people to get radon mitigation. And if you have like a Geiger counter, it's not going to work, because it just doesn't measure it in the air like it does in some other things. All right, so let me take a picture. Yeah, I'll show you my system here. Let me go do that real quick. So I'll be right back, because my remote video thingy is not working properly at the moment for some reason. It's one of those days. Something's got to not work right. It is, well, it's not Monday for you, but I was coming back from a short family trip, so I was technically on a little away trip, so I didn't get back till yesterday. It just frustrates me. I just can't take this camera out with me like I usually do. All right, so I'm going to go run out back real quick, and I will take a quick video, and then I will send it to my thing so you can see what it looks like. I'm not going to show you the outside portion because it's raining and I don't have any shoes on, but I think you'll find the indoor portion interesting. And you'll hear me talking about it, and you won't be able to see it until I come back in. Actually, I won't even bother talking about it because I can just do that later. So let me just get some video here. It's not much to look at. It's just like a tube. And then there's like a little sensor here that indicates that it's got good pressure. And this thing's been running for 15 years. Basically, the whole time I've been in the house here, it's been going. And what they do is they cut these little cracks in the floor. I can show you the crack here that they did. I think this is for the system. And they have a little tube that goes in here. Whatever they did to seal it kind of eroded already. But that little tube is like drawing air from beneath the basement floor. And that air is then drawn out. And so it kind of creates a little bit of a vacuum underneath the basement concrete. And that mitigates it. So it gets it out. And out in the backyard, I'll show it in the final video, there's a system, there's a big pipe with a exhaust, and just basically blows it out the back into the air. But it's not like polluting, because it just goes away. All right, let me just send this over to my NAS drive, and I'll show you what it looks like. So yeah, we got no data out of it yet, and I don't think I'm going to get data until this thing is done calibrating a week from now. So I'm just going to kind of let it sit, and we'll see what we get. It's just frustrating that it's telling me that it hasn't yet synced, yet my app is telling me that it's been syncing constantly. So I wonder if it's not going to be a real-time kind of thing, I think. But I'll show you the system and what the mitigation system looks like. And this is a very common, you'll see this in a second, this is a very common system. So it's not, what I have is really what you will likely get if you have to get one of these things. All right, so let's go into my NAS drive here. I'm just going to rename this file so I know what it is. Call it Radon. All right, so let's add that video. All right, so this is what it looks like. Just a tube. And so you've got this vacuum indicator that lets you know that it's working. And it's just a pipe. And then on the other side, outside, it exhausts to a fan system. There's all the other junk down there. And that's it. So outside there's just a fan that blows. So that fan is drawing air from, outside it's drawing the air from the inside out. And it blows it away. That's pretty much all it does. So that's it. And as Frank notes, it does require cutting a hole in the basement slab. Yep, that's exactly it. And I'll show you what my crack in the floor looks like. I'll pull that in too. So they did have to kind of cut a little hole in the floor to make this work. I think that's what that line there is for. I'll have to find it later. But yeah, that's how it works. All right, let's see if the app has given us any updates since the last time we looked at it. So it's still telling me that the air quality is good. Let me refresh here. Let's go to the download button. I mean, to some degree, it's good that it's not on your Wi-Fi, but that's also challenging because you have to be home to get you have to have something near it to get the update. Okay, so I see why it's saying this. It hasn't yet downloaded any samples. So that's why it's not syncing up to the cloud. So it is connecting, it's just that it takes it 7 days to calibrate. So I think we're going to have to put this on the back burner until it is done with whatever it is doing. Brightburns was wondering, does it cause, I'm sorry to hear about your father passing away. I don't think strokes are something that are caused by it. I think it's mostly lung cancer, but certainly something wrong with your lungs or clots in the lungs that go to the, to the brain. I mean, there's obviously things that can be caused by that. Is this compatible with natural gas? Well, it's a radon gas, which is kind of is a natural gas, but it's not one you want you don't want to be breathing in the radon in your house, for sure. But radon is just all around us. It comes up through the floor. HQ Mikaro says that his country, the Netherlands, is a low-risk zone, so it's good to know. Yeah, I'm in a pretty high-risk area. I've got some pretty high radon ratings all around me. Martin Paolini is here. And yeah, about $1,200 is about right. That's what I think that was about what my system cost. We uncovered the radon problem during the home inspection that we were doing, so we had the sellers cover the cost of the radon system, because they did not have a radon system installed when we moved into the house. But if you don't have one, it's a really good idea to go and measure it. And the lab tests are not that expensive. And yeah, most of them are kind of like a sump pump. So mine, as you saw in the video, I'll play it again here. We'll restart. The one that I have is, you got this pipe here. The air is drawn out from the pump or the fan that's outside through that little thing you saw there. And then it kind of looks like a sump pump because it goes into the floor. And what they had to do is they had to cut underneath the basement floor and run all these little pipes to suck in the air. So there's a pressure that's built, almost vacuum pressure. So the fan outside that's exhausting into the air is drawing all that air out of the floor. And I'll rewind it here. And so that thing is the indicator of the pressure level. So this has been running since, let's see, so this has been going for 15 years straight, and it's been fine. Like, it's just been running 24/7 for 15 years. And I asked the guy, I said, like, how long do these things last? About 15 years. So it's an active system. Connor Powers says that his home had a passive one. Yeah, I think active is really, and it was amazing because we did a test before we installed it. And then after we installed it, we did the test, and it went from like 7 or 8 to like 1 or 1.5. It was a huge reduction. What's neat about this thing, because it detects radon, as Martin says, it'll be very useful these days. Yeah, well, I also have a Geiger counter, which maybe I'll talk about in the video, because it was kind of interesting to see what is, nothing dangerously radioactive, but it was interesting to see that my kitchen counter is more radioactive than my wooden kitchen table. So my kitchen counter is marble, and it gives off a little more radiation than my wooden kitchen table does. But the difference between like background radiation is that your skin protects you from that largely. But radon, because you breathe it in, has greater risk, because any particles that get into you are far more dangerous than when they're outside of you. So that's why breathing in radioactive gas or particles, fallout or whatever, dust from like the Chernobyl plant, for example, breathing in the radioactive materials is what you want to avoid. And that's why having a radon mitigation would be important. But unfortunately, I'm not going to have a reading for a while, so I guess I have to let this thing kind of sit here and see what happens. But yeah, and I think Frank Cromer in the Amazon chat mentions that it's good to, there's a way you could do it yourself, but I think this is something you want to have a professional do to install properly, because it does involve, like, you have to get under your basement slab. And if you have just the slab, then you've got to get under your floor to the slab to the soil underneath. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to let this thing sit here and collect its data, and then we'll come back and do a proper review once I've had some time to get some data out of it, because right now I'm getting bupkis. So it has not yet sent any data to my phone. So once it does, I will have a better sense as to what I am receiving from it. The good news is that it is communicating, but we haven't had any samples get downloaded to me. Red Techie says, interesting, Airthings themselves posted a blog on how to have a Pi. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So maybe I should set up a Raspberry Pi to do that, because there's also an API, so you can. So Red Techie, you could. So I know you like to use that Asana. Is that what that is? That charting thing that you do. So you could have this thing integrate into your Asana, because it does more than just the basics here. So it does radon, humidity, volatile organic compounds, and when we did the Amazon sensor, this can be anything. In fact, when my at the time 2-year-old nephew walked by the Amazon thing, he had a full diaper, and it picked up on the VOC there. It does temperature, carbon dioxide, and air pressure. And actually, the air pressure is interesting because that impacts the radon levels too. And that was what the guy told me. He goes, you could have had, because my radon test that I did was a 3, but it was mostly like cloudy that whole week. And he said, if it's a period of, I forgot which pressure he was telling me, Grafana, right? Grafana is what I was thinking of. He said that the weather makes a big difference in the radon levels in the house. So running this over a month is what he recommended. CF says, I don't suppose that radon was much worse. I think it's all bad, right? I mean, I think the lead has its own issues, especially with brain damage and whatever, but you weren't burning that in your home necessarily. I mean, you did in your garage maybe when you pulled the car out the back, but I think the fact is that these radon gases accumulate, and if you're breathing in high levels, you need to mitigate it because it is a significant cause of lung cancer. And Dave says, if you stand around this during a happy hour, it'll detect the drinks on your breath. Yeah, they're pretty sensitive. I was surprised with the Amazon one, what it was picking up. Because you know what else I did during our test? Because it was delivering real-time data, because that Amazon one goes on the Wi-Fi. It was picking up, I took out some rubbing alcohol and just put it on a tissue, and it was picking that up. Like it went, like you could see it go. You can see my review of that. It goes right up. And Greg points out, and I think Frank pointed this out too in the Amazon chat, that it does integrate with Home Assistant. So if you are using, I need to get into Home Assistant because everybody keeps talking about it. It does integrate with Home Assistant because they do have an API. And that, I think, would be very attractive for people that like to roll their own stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, so we will be back with this thing once I get some data from it. So stay tuned. More to come. I was hoping to review this tomorrow because I'm on a very limited schedule this week, but it does not look like I'm going to get there, so I may have to come up with something else. I've got more like radio stuff to look at, but I think looking at the viewership numbers, people think radio stuff is interesting, but I got to keep mixing it up there. So we will be back with the Wave Plus as soon as it gives me some readings down here. And it would be great if it had a dirty diaper detector, which it kind of does, right, with the VOCs. But it's funny, that kid was in the room and it picked him up. So these things can be very, very sensitive. So that is the scoop. Oh, a couple more questions here. Let me just take a few more here. Red Hornet says, does the detector need to be placed in a special place? Yeah, typically the basement, what they said is it should be placed in rooms that you occupy the most. But typically a radon test is done in the basement because that's where the strongest readings will be. And I'm down here in the basement, 7 days a week doing video stuff. They said you can mount it on a wall or just put it flat. The radon guy told me, about waist high. You'll get some varying degrees of recommendations on that. I think on top of this thing behind me is probably fine. Right? Like if it was, and it can sit flat or it can sit on the wall. But I would put it at above the floor, but kind of midpoint between the floor and the ceiling is what I would do. And they give you a screw to mount it on the ceiling. But I'm just going to put it where I put my other test. I've got a good spot over there. I'm just going to leave it and see what it comes up with. So in any event, I got to run because I got to go teach my class. I'm almost done with the semester. It's been going pretty well. So I've got a few things to prep for there. But I will be back with more stuff before you know it. So I got to go back to my list of things because, like I said, I was going to do a whole thing on this tomorrow, but it needs about a week to get calibrated. So we're going to let this kind of sit and see what we end up with. But it wasn't too hard to set up. And like I said, we just haven't gotten any data out of it yet because it's in the process of its calibration, which they say takes 7 days. So there is no instant gratification with this thing. So I would just be prepared for a week of waiting before you know if you're going to die of radon. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I will, again, be back. I'll most likely be back tomorrow, if not later tonight. We'll see what time the kids go to bed. And Dave B also says it'll give you a ring indicator. Yeah, I guess what you can do, they call it the wave because you can actually wave over it. And you can see mine is blinking green, and it'll give you an idea. But you're right, it doesn't tell you exactly what is causing it. So the red could be radon, it could be a dirty diaper. So yeah, I'm going to stop breathing until next week. Maybe I'll get all my survival gear out and just use my spacesuit. And Keith says, yeah, I know. That's the killer. I want to know right now. That was the thing with the Amazon one. You plugged it in and you had results. Even though it said we're calibrating still, the calibration didn't take a week. It took maybe a couple hours, but you would get something out of it. This thing, we just got to wait. So we'll be back, but thank you all for tuning in as I set this thing up, and I will be back again. Have a good day too, Michael. Back again before you know it. And I want to thank Alien and Keith for your Super Chat contributions, and stay tuned for more stuff very soon. I got a new radio antenna to play around with too, so we've got all sorts of fun things to explore on the channel. All right, everybody, catch you next time.